There is a conversation happening inside every man you have ever been with. A quiet, private, completely unspoken conversation. And in that conversation, he is hoping, sometimes almost aching, for you to do something specific. Something he has never told you. Something he may not even have the language to ask for. Not because he doesn't want it, because asking for it feels impossible to him. Here is the painful irony at the center of most modern relationships. Women spend enormous energy trying to figure out what men want. They read the signals, they ask the questions, they adjust and observe and try to decode the silences. And men, who have been taught since boyhood that needing things is weakness, that asking is vulnerability, that desire should be managed rather than expressed, sit quietly inside the gap between what they feel and what they say, hoping, waiting, slowly withdrawing when the thing they need never arrives. Most people never realize that the emotional distance that grows in a relationship is almost never about one person loving the other less. It is almost always about one person not knowing what the other needed because the other person never found the words or the courage or the permission to say it out loud. If you've ever felt like you were doing everything right, but something was still slightly off, if you've ever sensed that the man in your life was pulling back without being able to tell you why, this video is going to hand you the answer he couldn't. By the end of this video, you will know the 4 moves that every man quietly, privately, desperately wants the woman in his life to make. You will understand why he has never asked for them directly, and you will have the clarity and the confidence to make them, not as performance, not as strategy, but as the natural expression of a woman who truly understands the man she is with. Let's begin where all real conversations about men and relationships should begin, with the truth about how men are built emotionally and why that truth creates such a specific, consistent, quietly devastating silence in the relationships that matter most to them. You've been trying so hard to read him, to understand what he needs, what's going on inside him, why he sometimes seems close and warm and open, and other times seems like he's standing behind a wall of glass that you can see through but cannot touch. You've asked questions and gotten short answers. You've tried to create space for him to open up, and he's nodded, said, "I'm fine," and changed the subject. You've felt the frustration of caring deeply about someone who seems constitutionally unable to tell you what he actually needs. Here is what is actually happening. From the time most men are small boys, they receive a very specific set of messages about emotion and need and vulnerability. They learn through 100 small corrections that needing things is a burden on other people, that expressing uncertainty makes them seem weak, that desire, emotional desire, the need to be seen and held and reached for, is something to manage privately, not bring into a relationship and lay at someone else's feet. So they don't. They learn to function without asking. They learn to absorb the absence of what they need without flagging it as a problem. They learn to keep moving forward even when the emotional tank is running close to empty. And they get very, very good at not letting you see when it is. But the need is there. It has always been there. Underneath the composure and the self-sufficiency and the quiet capability that you admire in him, there are 4 specific things he wants from you that he has never found a way to ask for. And knowing them, genuinely knowing them and understanding why they matter so much will change the entire emotional landscape of your relationship. Not because you become a different person, because you start reaching into the places he cannot reach himself. The first move is the simplest, the most immediate, the one you can make tonight. And it is this: reach for him first. Not when the moment demands it, not as a response to his initiation, without prompting, without waiting for the obvious opening. Just reach. Across the table for his hand, toward him on the sofa when nothing particular is happening, with a text in the middle of the afternoon that has no practical purpose, with a touch on his back as you walk past him in the kitchen, slow enough to be deliberate because you wanted to feel him for a moment and you didn't overthink it. Here is why this move is so powerful and why it is so quietly devastating when it doesn't happen. A man who always initiates and is always met, never actively sought, begins to carry a question he won't voice out loud. Does she want me? Not does she love me? Not is she happy? Does she actually, physically, emotionally want to be close to me? Or am I the one always moving the distance? That question, sitting unanswered in the background of a relationship, becomes a quiet erosion. He doesn't bring it up. He just starts initiating a little less. Testing, without realizing he is testing, whether you will notice, whether you will reach. And if you don't, if the pattern stays and he remains always the one who moves first, something in him starts to close. Not dramatically, just the small incremental withdrawal of someone who has started to feel on some level that his desire is not being matched. Think about what it means to be on the receiving end of someone reaching for you without being asked. You're sitting reading something and he comes up from behind and wraps his arms around you with no agenda, no context, just because he wanted to. And you feel it everywhere, not just physically, emotionally, the message underneath the touch. I thought of you. I moved toward you without waiting for permission. That message is one of the most intimate things one person can communicate to another. He wants that message from you. He has wanted it probably for longer than either of you would be comfortable knowing. Here is the real life version. It is an ordinary evening. He is doing something that has nothing to do with you. Watching something, working on something, entirely occupied. And instead of waiting for him to look up and create an opening, you walk over, you put your arms around him from behind, or your hand on his shoulder, or you simply sit beside him and lean your head against him for a moment, for no reason other than that you wanted to be close to him. You don't need anything. You're not starting a conversation. You just reached. Watch what that does. Not in a grand way, in the quiet way of something that matters. A slight exhale, a hand covering yours, a body that visibly settles. He needed that. He did not know how to ask for it, but you gave it anyway. And in that small, deliberate, uncomplicated gesture, you told him something he will carry far longer than you realize. The man who always reaches first is quietly asking one question with every initiation. And the most powerful answer you will ever give him is to reach first yourself. But here's where it gets interesting. Because the second move is not about touch at all. It is about words. but not the words most women think of first. Not, I love you, though those matter. Not, you're so handsome, though that lands too. The words I am talking about are more specific than that, more targeted, and the specificity is the entire point. Men need to be seen. Not admired in the general sense, not appreciated in the abstract. Seen specifically in the particular thing they did on the particular day they did it, in the way that makes clear you were actually watching. Here is the difference. You're amazing is kind, warm, genuinely appreciated. But I noticed that you handled that situation yesterday in a way that was really mature. The way you stayed calm when things got difficult, I was proud of you. That is something else entirely. That tells him not just that you like him, but that you are paying attention. That the specific things he does, the specific ways he shows up, the specific effort he makes, you see them. They register. They matter to someone. Most men move through their lives receiving very little of this. The world evaluates them on outcomes, on results, on the finished product. Almost nobody watches the process, the quiet courage it takes to make a hard phone call, to admit a mistake, to try something they're not sure they can do. Almost nobody names those things out loud, and so they go unseen, filed away in a man's private interior as evidence of effort that was not witnessed. When you witness him, specifically, directly, out loud, you give him something almost nobody else does, and he becomes loyal to the relationship in which he is truly seen in a way that he cannot quite find the words for, but can absolutely feel. Here is the version of this that I want you to picture. He has been dealing with something difficult, at work, with a family member, with something internal that he has been managing quietly without making it your problem. You've been watching, and one evening, without a big setup, you simply say to him directly, I want you to know that I see how hard you've been working through this. I see the effort you're putting in even when nobody's asking you to. It means something to me. And then you leave it there. No expectation, no request, just the acknowledgement, landed and real. Think about that for a second. When was the last time someone saw the effort, not just the result? When was the last time someone named a specific thing you did, a quiet, private, unglamorous thing, and said, I noticed, I was watching, and it matters? How did that feel? That is what you can give him anytime you choose to, starting with the next thing you notice him doing that deserves to be seen. I love you tells a man you feel something. I noticed what you did and I'm proud of you, tells him he is known. Men will do anything for the woman who truly knows them. Now, this is the one. This is the move that changes the entire foundation of a relationship when it's made and quietly hollows it out when it's missing. And I want to be specific about what I mean by choosing him publicly, because this is not about grand declarations or social media posts or announcing your relationship to the world. It is about something much quieter and much more powerful than that. It is the moments when you could have been anywhere else, with anyone else, and you chose him, and he knew it. It is introducing him without prompting, with warmth and pride, before he has to awkwardly navigate the ambiguity himself. It is telling a story that includes him with an ease and a naturalness that makes it clear to anyone in the room that this person is important to you. It is defending him in his absence, not blindly, but because you genuinely believe in him and you say so. It is choosing in 100 small social moments to be visibly on his team. Here is why this move is so specifically powerful for a man. Men carry a deep, largely unspoken anxiety about their place in the world of the woman they love. Not an insecure anxiety necessarily, not the fragile, needy kind, but a quiet background wondering. Does she see this as real? Does she think of me as her person or as someone she is currently spending time with? When she is with her friends, her family, the people who matter to her, where do I fit in that picture? Is she proud of me? Or am I something she keeps somewhat separate? That wondering is not weakness. It is the natural consequence of caring about someone enough to want to matter to them fully, not just privately. And when it goes unaddressed, when a woman keeps a man slightly compartmentalized, slightly separate from her broader life, slightly unacknowledged in the social spaces that matter to her, he feels it. He cannot always name it, but he feels less chosen than he needs to. Here is the real life version of this. You are at a gathering, friends, family, colleagues, any combination. He is there with you. And at some point, naturally, in the flow of conversation, someone asks how you've been. And instead of giving the general answer, you say something that includes him. Not performed, not over the top, just natural and warm. We've actually been doing this really interesting thing lately. Or he said something to me recently that completely changed how I think about this. Or simply, when introducing him, the way your face changes, the way pride lives in your voice when you say his name. He will notice. He notices every time. Not because he is looking for validation, but because being chosen by you in front of people, without being prompted, without it being required by the situation, is one of the deepest forms of emotional safety a relationship can offer him. And safety, as we have established, is what keeps a man. Not obligation, not routine, not history. The feeling that he is chosen freely, gladly, publicly today by someone whose opinion is the one that matters most to him. The moment you choose him out loud in front of the people who matter, you stop being someone he is with and become someone he is proud to belong to. And a man who is proud to belong to you will never stop reaching for you. And if you think that was powerful, wait for this. Because this last move is the most delicate, the most easily misunderstood, and in many ways the most important of all four, because it is the one that modern women most commonly get exactly backwards. Here is what I mean. You are capable. You are independent. You have built a life that functions without anyone's help. And that is genuinely admirable. It is one of the most attractive qualities a woman can have. A woman who is self-sufficient is not a burden. She is a partner, a choice rather than a necessity. And there is enormous power in that. But here is the shadow side of total self-sufficiency that nobody talks about. When a man cannot find a place where he is genuinely needed, when every attempt to help is met with, "I've got it," When every offer of support is preempted by a woman who has already handled it. When there is no gap in her life where his specific presence makes a specific difference, he slowly loses his sense of purpose in the relationship. Not because he needs you to be weak, not because he wants you to manufacture dependency, but because the need to matter, to be useful in a real and particular way to the person you love, is one of the most fundamental human drives. And in men, it is especially tied to how they experience love itself. For many men, being needed is not separate from being loved. They are the same thing. When they can help you, they feel connected to you. When there is nowhere to help, they feel quietly, gradually, without knowing why, disconnected. The move here is to let him in, not to fake helplessness, not to minimize your capability, but to find the places, real places, genuine places, where his help is welcomed, where his opinion is sought and actually considered, where he is allowed to solve something for you, or carry something for you, or fix something for you, without you having already solved and carried and fixed it before he even knew it existed. And then, this is the delicate part, to let him do it without managing the process, without redirecting his approach, without suggesting he do it differently while he is in the middle of trying. He offers to help, you receive the help fully, graciously, without supervising. Here is the version of this that will resonate immediately. He offers to handle something, logistics, a problem, a situation you've mentioned in passing, and instead of your usual, "It's fine, I'll sort it," you say, "Actually, would you? I would really appreciate that." And then you step back. You let him handle it in his way. Even if his way is slightly different from yours, even if you could have done it faster or more efficiently, you let him do it. And then you acknowledge that he did it. Simply, directly, genuinely. What that creates in him is not a sense of your weakness. It creates a sense of his purpose. A sense that there is a place in your life where he specifically belongs, where his particular way of doing things, his specific presence, his individual way of showing love through action has somewhere real to land. A man who feels needed in a relationship has a reason to stay that goes beyond attraction, beyond history, beyond comfort and routine. He has a sense that the architecture of your shared life has a load-bearing wall that is specifically his. And you do not destroy load-bearing walls. You protect them. A man who is allowed to need you and to be needed by you in equal measure is a man who has found the one relationship in his life where he is fully, completely home. 4 moves. 4 quiet, powerful, deeply human gestures that require not a single change in who you are, only a shift in the direction of your attention. Reach for him first, without waiting, without a reason, because you want to, and that wanting is worth acting on. See him specifically, not in the general warmth of loving someone, but in the particular detail of a person you are genuinely watching and genuinely noticing. Choose him out loud, in the rooms that matter, in front of the people who matter, with the pride of someone who knows what she has. And let him be needed, not as a performance of dependency, but as the genuine, gracious, full-hearted receiving of someone who loves you through what they do for you. None of these moves requires you to be someone you are not. None of them ask you to minimize yourself or perform a role or give more than you receive. Each of them is simply an invitation to close a gap. The gap between what you feel for him and what he actually experiences. Between the love that lives inside you and the love that reaches him in a way he can hold. Because here is the truth underneath all four of these moves. The man in your life, or the man you want in your life, is not looking for perfection. He is not looking for someone who never has a hard day or a bad moment or a complicated feeling. He is looking for someone who reaches for him, who sees him, who chooses him, who lets him matter. That is it. That is the whole list. And the extraordinary thing is that you already have everything it takes to give him all four. You have the hands to reach. You have the eyes to see. You have the voice to acknowledge and the courage to choose. And you have somewhere in the generous, loving, capable heart that has been trying so hard for so long, the willingness to let someone in, fully in, all the way in, without holding the last piece of yourself behind a wall of self-sufficiency. That last piece is not protection. It is the price of the distance you've been feeling. And the moment you offer it, not recklessly, not to someone who hasn't earned it, but to the right person at the right time with the full intention of being known, is the moment the relationship you actually want stops being something you're working toward and becomes something you're already living. Stop waiting for him to ask for what he needs. Start giving it quietly, directly, freely. Because the woman who knows what a man needs before he finds the words for it, who reaches into the silence and offers what lives there, is not just a great partner. She is unforgettable. She is irreplaceable. She is the standard against which everything else is measured. That is who you are capable of being. Starting today, starting now. This is your moment. Don't waste it. If this spoke to you, if something in these four moves made you see your relationship or your next one through completely new eyes, subscribe to this channel and watch our next video on the 5 signs a man is falling in love with you, but is too proud to admit it. Because now that you know what moves to make, it's time to recognize exactly what they are unlocking in him.